Hello and welcome to Brock Community Action in Southwestern Vermont, Microbusiness Development Program, Increasing Profitability 101. My goal for this webinar is to bring to you a SWOT analysis that you can implement at any stage in business. This webinar is for anybody who is interested in starting a business or has an existing business that needs to change due to COVID-19 or any other situation. The information provided here is meant to help you. I would like anybody involved to please participate in the chat box, ask any questions, and they will be entered. This presentation will absolutely be sent afterward. This will come also on a live link. So, absolutely. So now we're going to start into this. The biggest thing is if you can have a piece of paper and a pen handy during the presentation, you'll find that that'll be necessary when we get to the SWOT analysis, or you can review this at a later time. So the goal for this is to help increase profitability. It's to reduce the failure rate in businesses and increase the success rate. This is done through careful planning and forethought. How? Well, we're going to work on improving the operational efficiency of any business enterprise. We're going to work to maximize the profits by doing constant improvements in everyday systems. A wide diversity of knowledge in all core functions of business is necessary to be successful. So this should be a basic understanding of taxes. This should be understanding of marketing. This should be understanding of how the business is run and every function, including state and local regulations to federal regulations. It's important to have a wide diversity of knowledge in the attempt of this, and it's something that each of us should always strive to be learning. So this presentation, we're going to take a forward-thinking systems approach. Typically, a lot of times people will use a rear-view mirror approach that looks backward to what happened. And that can be important for changing things. But today, we're going to take a front windshield approach to look into the future. What might happen, what can happen, and what should happen. By utilizing factors today in your business or in your business model that is going to come into play into the future. So if you don't have a business currently, don't worry. This is for you. You're going to think about what that business will look like before you even begin. And this is the start of a business planning process to really think about your individual strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So, accelerated actions to maximize profit. Success is not based on only one factor in a business. Improvements in the entire system. Operating as efficiently as possible, beating the competition by being better and different. So these may seem very generic, but the truth in most business aspects that make successful businesses is they do the basic business aspects well. A lot of it's not very creative. A lot of it is doing the basic fundamentals of business correctly is what sets the successful ones apart. So how do we get started? SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So this is the time that if you have a piece of paper or a computer file to open up, we're going to make a list of the individual strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in your current business or in the business that you want to start. So it's important that each of these are thought out. I'm going to give you examples for each category, as well as basing this on my own business that I had in the past. So I had Televela Lawns, LLC, and this was started in 2015. So I'm doing a retrospective SWOT analysis based on what the business was like then and how these tools could let me see different aspects of that business. I feel it's very important to share my personal business experience with you to help you be able to avoid different pitfalls and things in your own business. So the importance of the SWOT analysis is we don't want the equation to balance. We want the strengths and opportunities to outweigh the weaknesses and the threats. This is going to be a blueprint building your business into the future. So the goal of a SWOT analysis is to consider all factors. We want to capitalize on the strengths and opportunities that exist within your business today or your personal strengths and opportunities. We want to improve upon any weaknesses. and reduce potential threats. The idea is to take all of these different factors, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and look how we can improve upon the opportunities and the strengths and how we can mitigate the weaknesses and the threats. By doing this planning process, it's how a business becomes stronger. So part of a SWOT analysis is managing change. One constant in business is change. We've seen this occur lately because of COVID-19 and how that affects the very root and foundation of many numerous businesses. But as well, the change can also be something that we can opportunity and capitalize on. Businesses must embrace change rather than resist change. It's not going to go away anytime soon. So it's important for each of us to become nimble in our thinking, in creativity, and to be able to take advantage of different opportunities that may arise within the local business market climate. So the idea with the SWOT analysis is we take all this change that's happening in the world around us and we think about it within our existing business structure, and then we're able to adapt to move it into the future. So the strengths portion of the SWOT analysis, which again is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, is internal resources, products, services, processes that a company does well, enhances a company's competitiveness in the market. So each business is going to have individual strengths that are going to vary, but there will be some similarities amongst them. So things to remember about the strengths in the SWOT analysis: accumulation of various strengths provide a competitive edge. They're never dependent upon one person, product, service, or intangible asset. So the highlighted is all strengths have synergistic effect that make a company valuable. So these strengths are building off from each other to help build the strength and the competitiveness of this company in the open marketplace. Whatever strength a company has, another company will eventually try to imitate it. So if the business is being really successful and money is pouring in, it's doing well, sure enough, somebody will look in to try to make a mirror of that company. Now, the one thing I've come to realize through doing counseling is that the individual businesses, the real secret sauce for the strength is the individual owner. They have the background, the knowledge, and the expertise that lends them into that particular business. Just because somebody has the strengths to operate in one segment of the market does not give them the strengths to operate in another. It's really important to remember that the knowledge in your head and the years of thinking and trying and working out all the issues of a business are very uniquely set to the individual, you as the business owner. So some examples of strengths: their specialized skills make company highly competitive relative to other companies. A low-cost operation could be an example of a strength. So if you're working out of a home office, you're having a lower cost operation than if you were renting a building downtown. This is important because this can definitely add to the bottom line profits of a business by keeping a low-cost operation. Advanced technologies. Well, today, more than any other time in history, advanced technology is available to all of us in the general public on a wide scale. This webinar, for instance, 10 years ago, would have been something that would have only been for large corporate events. Today, it's a very simple technological process that with a laptop and a high-speed internet connection, anybody can take advantage of. So I think taking advantage of different email campaigns, newsletter campaigns, any different technologically advanced settings for your business can be very, very important today into the strengths of today's economic market. High quality products and service. So this is a strength. This should go without saying that any business that's operating should be trying to offer the highest quality products and services available. This should be expert level communication, beautiful products and services that are polished and finished to the utmost capability of that business owner. Because at the end of the day, the customer will know the difference between a quality product and the time put into something and something that is not worth the value of the money paid. You want to give the customer more value than what they're paying. And fine-tune supply chain management functions. So this doesn't just apply to small and larger business. The supply chain is also important for micro businesses. Now, you should know how long it takes for you to get a delivery off whatever online site you order products from or from local. So that supply chain is very important. knowing the time of that delivery and also looking at different risks involved with that supply chain. So if you have a fine-tuned supply chain and you know how long it takes, you can use that as a strength. Strength examples continued. So research, development, introduction of new and innovative products. So this is where the difference comes between a traditional micro business and an entrepreneurial micro business. So not all business owners are entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurial is in fact something new into the market, something innovative, something done a different way than the traditional business does it. That's the entrepreneurial spirit that keeps driving things forward, is thinking about different ways to interact. First to market with new products. So if you have a new idea for a new product that's completely new, that can be a huge strength, something to keep under wraps very tightly, but a very large strength because you can be the first to introduce this. In a world of billions of products coming out from every different country on earth and being marketed over the internet, a new product that revolutionizes a category can be a huge development and success. But it's one of the hardest things to do in any business is to develop a truly new product to the market. So specialized expertise. Now, this ends up being a strength that a lot of micro businesses owners should have. So depending on if you're running a marketing company or if you're running a retail company, a landscaping company, a house painting company, the specialized expertise of that business owner is what's going to really drive the strength for that business, the background knowledge. One of the things I recommend to all of my clients is the ones I find that are most successful are the ones that have specialized expertise in the area. They know exactly how to do and perform their business functions. They might not know how to start a business or all the technical details. That's something I'm very well versed and very happy to help, but they need to have that specialized expertise. So if someone wants to start a business and they don't have that background of expertise in that business, it may be important to try to find employment in a field that has a similar strategy to what you're trying to do as a business. This will give you the opportunity to learn from a company who's already good at this. Very important aspect. So assets, equipment, and or facilities. These can be strengths. So if you have a well-functioning home office, that can be an asset, a quiet place to be able to do your work and focus. Absolutely. If you have equipment that you already have purchased for this business, or facilities. If you have a rental property, this could even be a facility such as a backyard shed, extra room in a garage. These are strengths and assets that you can use to help propel your business forward. Technologically advanced equipment, the location. So if you're catering to a local area market, your location is going to be very important. Being high visible for traffic, or even having a great website domain name could also be a great location. We have to think of locations not just in the physical world, but also into the digital. Modern warehouse or distribution facilities. And this is for micro businesses as well. So you might not think of a warehouse as a micro business, but this could be a great shelving system in your garage or shed that you use to keep track of all your business items. It could be a wonderful filing system that you have for your home office. So another strength is the capacity to grow. So it's important that you have things available for where your business is today, but also that you develop the systems and the space that you can grow the business. So human capital, huge part of the strength for any micro business is the depth of management or ownership knowledge. Your strategic and specialized expertise is part of the human capital. If you have employees, experienced long-term employees are a large part of any successful business. Highly motivated and competent employees. You want to have the most highly motivated, excited employees under your employment that are going to work hard for your micro business and they're going to help you accelerate. You want to use and tap into people's capabilities and knowledge to help you expand this business. The one thing that entrepreneurs learn the hard way is that they try to do everything themselves. And this doesn't mean that you necessarily have to hire employees, but you should be taking advantage of the experts that are around you. Business counselors that have general knowledge base, specialized CPAs and accountants for tax management, So you should really be utilizing all of the different expertise, individuals, marketing help, other perspectives possible. So a non-seasonal business could be a strength. So if the business is seasonal, the weakness is that it only runs part of the time. So I see that employees, for one of the comments is, employees have been the hardest part of being a small business owner. I could not agree more. My own experience with employees has definitely been one of frustration and heartache, but also one of excitement and the ability to really expand the business. The hardest part is managing the employees. I've had an employee crash a company truck. I've had an employee break windows at a client's property. So it's really important that the employees that you hire have to be team players and excellent. So I've definitely dove in and hired employees when I should have done more research into the background and looking at it. It's definitely one of the hardest parts, but one of the only ways to expand the business beyond your individual time and talents is to hire and bring on employees. So a branded name, for example, could be a business strength. You might have a branded name under Vermont or Green Mountains. This is very powerful and can lend itself to giving a lot of credibility to your business as well as memorability and marketability. So having a very unique business name, one that stands out that people can remember, it's very important that people can spell this business name. I'm going to get to that in a minute when I show you the business name that I had for my LLC. So internal and organizational assets, these can be a strength. Financial strength and resources. Now, this is something that we don't run into a lot for micro businesses, of financial strength and resources. But if somebody was planning on opening up, say, a larger size micro business, but they would have limited financial ability to do that, it might be better to take that same capital and put it into a smaller business that you can polish and perfect and have financial control over by existing financial strength. So sometimes limiting the scope of your business idea can help because it can better come into line with your financial assets. So excellent customer service and support. I cannot stress this enough. As micro business owners, you are the one most of the time that's directly responsible for talking with your customers. So you have no excuse on why the customer support would not be there. It's important to always value the customers. The best customer you'll ever have is the one you currently have. So nurturing those relationships, absolutely. Take educational courses, take public speaking courses, take communication courses. Always be learning on how to provide the best customer service and support. Proprietary assets. Now, some micro businesses do have proprietary assets, and this could be a way of a process that you use to manufacture something. This could be a website that has proprietary information. So it's definitely important to make sure that you understand what are things that you have created that can be proprietary in the marketplace. So the SWOT analysis. So this is Televel Lawns, LLC. This was my landscaping company. So when we started out in 2015, these are the strengths. I'm going to walk you through the weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats as we go through each section to kind of give it a real life example. So I'm doing this SWOT analysis in retrospective when it should have been conducted in real time. And there's going to be some key points that the SWOT analysis lets us see into the past and the future of a business by understanding the different categories. So part of the weakness, well, that could be the name, Televel Lawns. So this is definitely a name that's not easy to spell and hard to research online. I chose it because it was proprietary, but now today with my knowledge and expertise, I would choose a different name, something that would be easy to spell, easy to relate, and would tie into it. So the strengths of Televel Lawns in 2015 was it was an existing customer base of 60 accounts to sustain financial growth, highly skilled, dedicated employees, great customer service conducted directly by me, the owner, depth of industry-specific knowledge by the owner, capacity to grow, and marketing. So the existing customer base of 60 accounts gave me the financial stability of monthly income to be able to have employees on. And with that stability in employees, I then had the capacity to grow because we had more time available to do that work. The employees that I did have were highly skilled and dedicated. They had been in the industry doing lawn maintenance and landscaping work for other companies before I hired them onto mine. So they had the industry experience. So the depth of industry specific knowledge of the owner, well, years ago, I worked at a golf course. So I learned everything there was to know in that scope of how to manage and take care of turf, lawn, fertilization, pesticides, sharpening lawnmower blades, tuning up engines. So I had that depth of industry specific knowledge. And I also had a great ability for marketing. So I had learned about marketing in different traditional college courses through my academic years, but also I've always been interested in marketing and how that works. So that was a strength going into it compared to other landscaping companies in the area. So we're going to now turn the page onto weaknesses. Specific weaknesses for a business. So these are internal resources that a company does not so well or completely lacks. Contributes to a company's competitive disadvantage or deficiencies. It's really important to think about all the weaknesses that you may possess as a small business owner to put that into action. We need to have a plan to go about those weaknesses and to turning them into either not weaknesses or advantages in the marketplaces. So examples, lack of expertise in the business field. So if you're in a business that you've never ran a business before, that could be a weakness. Or if you lack specific expertise in the area of the business you're trying to run. I would much rather see somebody who has never ran a business before, but they know about this industry. They know the regulations, they know the rules, they know how to do this craft, this artwork, is this tattoo, is this hairdressing, is this bookkeeping? They know this industry inside and out, but they've never ran a business before. That's one of the easiest clients I have to work with, are the ones that have that expertise. So a lack of employee talent, loyalty, longevity. So that's definitely something that can be a weakness is when choosing and recruiting employees. Inferior and or obsolete assets, equipment, and facilities. So a lot of times, us as micro business owner, we're kind of the underdogs. Our back's against the wall. We don't have a lot of financial resources. We're dealing with older computers, older laptops, older pieces of equipment. So we really have to take that weakness into account and understand how we can move forward. Poor location. Sometimes the rent on a property is too expensive in a great location, so we're stuck with a less advantageous location because of the cost of rent. Ineffective marketing. So as much as we might believe our marketing is well, the proof is really in the results of sales. No clear strategic directions. Possibly the biggest weakness of all is somebody in business that does not have a clear plan of action. So part of the SWOT analysis is putting together that strategic direction for your business. Weak financial position or resources. Maybe there's poor credit history. This could then impact a weakness for you to be able to expand the business because you don't have access to financial capital. High cost, low profit margin businesses. So some of these are very capital intensive, but they don't lead to a wide profit margin. Definitely can be a weakness. No product or service innovations. So if you're trying to start into a business that offers the same exact product and services as 100 other businesses, it's definitely a weakness because you're going to have to stand out in that marketplace by offering something innovative. And that might not be the exact thing, but it could be an innovative way of marketing, an innovative way of branding. But having none of those innovations in the business is definitely a weakness. Non-responsive customer service and follow-up. You have to follow up with the customers, reply to the emails, communicate, communicate, communicate. I can't stress this portion enough. So on that topic, I definitely had customers in the landscaping business who were a pain to work with. They would have you do all sorts of things, try to rope into extra work, would complain about different aspects of it. So it's really important to swallow your pride on those aspects and to meet with them and to see what you can do to really help facilitate them being happy with the product or services. And sometimes it might be that they want more done, which is fine. So the price would have to go up in order to accommodate that. So I definitely don't recommend offering services at a detriment and a loss financially to your company, but trying to meet them in a middle ground to see if you can keep that customer happy. Narrow product or service line. So if your business is only selling a certain product or service, that can be a weakness, because if something changes in the market, you have very other limited financial resources coming in. A more broad-based business would have different financial streams of revenue coming into that business. Small customer base compared to competition. Now, this is a weakness because of financial stability of the company. So if you have less customers, you have less capital coming in, making it harder for you to grow and expand. As you gain more customers, more finance comes in and allows you to propel the business forward at a faster rate. It's okay to start off in any of these positions, but the biggest thing for the SWOT analysis in today is to come to the realization that you're in the position of the weaknesses, and we need to figure out how we can mitigate that risk. So back to Televel Lawns for weakness examples. So a lack of time dedicated to business because of other full-time employment. At my time of running this landscaping company, I was currently working full-time 40 plus hours a week in other employment besides this company. So I also had no dedicated business location for operations. The whole thing was ran out of the house and out of a garage. I really needed a dedicated place for employees to be able to work on equipment and things that were not tied up at a home location for this. But at the time, I didn't have the financial resources to do that. So the business became too reliant on employees because of other full-time employment. Because I was tied up working full-time, I became reliant on the employees to be able to get the work done. So I would be working while they were out mowing lawns and doing landscaping services without me being able to be there directly to supervise. So picking employees was very important. And I had some fantastic ones who were very dedicated. Another important thing was being able to keep track of them. I had GPS trackers on the trucks so I could see the location at any time. Narrow service offerings. So, for instance, if the business is only offering lawn mowing, it's a narrow service offering. But if that's expanded into pesticides and fertilization, as well as doing retaining walls and driveway grading, flail mowing through tractors, you're expanding those service offerings and offering more value to your existing customers. A weakness could be lack additional funding for equipment and purchases. So this was a huge one. So I had quite a bit of equipment in this: trailers, trucks, large industrial mowers, and all the different parts that go with that. But if those would have broken, I would have lacked the funding to purchase a different one. So it's walking that fine line of using the equipment you have, knowing that you're going to run into trouble if something breaks. So things to remember: all companies have weaknesses, but competitive advantage goes to the company that has more strengths than weaknesses. Perception of weakness is reality in the marketplace. So the perception of the weakness is important to other people looking at your business. They might see it as a one-person shop, and that could be a weakness, because how are you going to offer 24-hour support? They may be concerned about having one person in their depth of knowledge. Known weaknesses must be confronted as soon as possible to correct the deficiencies. So today we're listing the weaknesses. You're putting them down, hopefully in front of you, working on that aspect of putting down those weaknesses so that we can go back and we can adjust and definitely look at those and see how they can be corrected. So the strengths and the weaknesses we've covered. Now we're on to opportunities. These are untapped market opportunities, major factor in companies' growth and profit. Must match strengths and opportunity to yield maximize profit. So it's important that the opportunities and the strengths come together in one aspect of this, because you have to have the business strength to be able to capitalize on the market opportunities. So examples: expanding geographically or globally with existing products or services. So the opportunity might be that you're now selling locally, but then you could start selling online and expand the amount of customer base and the people that could see that product or service. Adding complementary products or service. So an opportunity might be to add a different revenue stream to your business, giving you more financial security and diversifying the product base for that business. So definitely a big opportunity for many existing businesses, adding a secondary complementary product or service. Purchasing a competitor. This is a huge opportunity, one that I took advantage of in the landscape industry. And then when I sold the business to a competitor. It's really important. It takes a long time to slowly grow a business. But if you're able to buy out a competitor that's having financial difficulties, or they're having an issue that they want to change and get out of that particular business, buying their list of clients or adding them to your portfolio can really rapidly expand your business fast. Diversify product or services. This is along the line of complementary products and services, but definitely diversifying it, maybe even into an entirely different market. Develop strategic alliances. This is hugely important, that other people within your business industry you can understand, know, come on to a first name personal basis with, so that there could be alliances there. So one business might have more business than they can deal with. Well, they, instead of turning those customers away to nobody, they would rather turn them over to somebody that could do the work with them, maybe for a small commission, or just for the goodness that if you had too many, you would turn them back. So getting a strategic alliance with a partner that might have different resources than you can become very beneficial. These are very important opportunities for micro businesses specifically. When they lack financial resources, strategic alliances can help two smaller organizations do something larger. So an opportunity would be hire talented, skilled employees to enter new markets or services or offer a new product or service. So by hiring somebody who has a different set of expertise and background knowledge, you can have a new opportunity in market by using their existing knowledge of that market. Discover underserved markets and satisfy the needs of that market. So finding an underserved market and adapting your business to meet that can be a way of achieving financial success. So looking back, the opportunities that I had in Televel Lawns, one was adding complementary products or services. So when I took over and bought the company, we were just doing lawn mowing. Well, at that point, we decided, well, we'll also do soil testing. So we'd take soil core samples, we'd send them to UVM lab, get the reports back, and from there, we would upsell to provide fertilizer, lime, watering, different nutrients to make the lawns even better. Also adding in a complementary service of tick pesticide spraying. So we're already on the property, we already have spray equipment, so getting certified to now be able to offer spraying the property and the grass for ticks was a complementary product or service. Purchase of a competitor. Huge opportunity to be able to take over those existing accounts to expand the business. If the price is right and you can get the clients from a competitor at a lower price than it would cost you to market to get them, it could be advantageous. Diversify product or service offerings. This was moving into different realms, offering larger landscaping, different tractor services. Develop strategic alliances. This was hugely important. So having other individuals that had lawn care companies was a very large strategic alliance. Basically, if there was a larger property and we needed a fourth mower, that could be something that we could ask, hey, can we borrow that? And a lot of times they would say yes. Or they would ask, can we borrow this piece of equipment? And we would say yes. It would go back and forth. This way, we would be able to leverage each other's different assets to be able to propel the businesses forward through trust and cooperation of strategic alliance between the business owners. So now we're on to threats. External threats will always exist. They can hinder a company's profitability and competitive edge. Foresee threats and minimize effects if they materialize. So it's really important. Foresee threats and minimize effects if they materialize. We're going to try to look at threats that could happen to your business, figure out how to mitigate that risk before it happens. Obviously, we can't tell all the threats, but it's really important to look and try to figure out the most likely threats to your micro business. So example, it could be a competition with a cheaper or better product. Less expensive foreign imports. So maybe you're designing handcrafted products made in Vermont, but there can be competition from foreign imports that are able to provide that cheaper. New taxes or business regulations. So thankfully, there hasn't been a lot of changes here the past year, but a couple of years ago in 2016, the tax structure changed dramatically for small businesses. So it's really important that those things could be a major threat when looking at the business. Increase in operating costs and or interest rates. So if you will need to take out a capital loan and the interest rate increases, that could be a threat. If the operating cost for your business is electricity or gas or anything else, if the gas price goes up, that's a threat. Shift in customer or supply base. So if your business is located centrally and your customers are shifting away, it may be hard to be able to chase after them or to regrow that business. So it's also an external threat. Larger company with more financial resources, duplicating product or service. So this happens all the time. Large companies will let small and micro businesses start a product. We are the proverbial think tanks of the business world. It's only when we start to grow to become a threat and income starts coming in that larger companies will look, how are they doing that? Why are they being so successful? And try to imitate that. A tight credit market. So if the US national credit market got tightened, it would be harder to access capital. A weak economy. So right now, COVID-19 has definitely weakened our economy, and that is an external threat that's also internal, hindering business growth in a lot of cases. Bargaining power of major customer that reduces profit. This is perhaps one of the most important threats to take into consideration. So, for example, your micro business is providing service to 30 or 40 different customers. Each of those customers is paying a small amount of money, but altogether you're getting a comfortable size of revenue. All of a sudden, somebody else comes in and they say, hey, I have a large contract for you to take on 100 different clients of mine, and here's a set fee for that. Well, if they offer more clientele than you have, they could be coming in at a lower price cost for those. It's always important to never have more than 25% of your revenue tied up for any one client. That can be disastrous because they have bargaining power over how much they pay you at that point. If 75% of your income comes from one existing client, they can lower the prices on you effectively. They can really have a big threat to your business. So it's important to never have a large portion of your business tied up in one customer. So the threats to televel lawns. So a large amount of local area competition. At the time in Springfield, Vermont, there are about 4 or 5 fair size landscaping companies for that small geographic area. Definitely an overabundance of companies. So it made sense that there would be mergers and acquisitions that would take place. That was a threat, a large amount of local area competition. Physical injury to employee owner property. For the landscaping industry, this is a huge threat because employees can get hurt. Trailers can become attached from trucks, mowers can flip over, property can be damaged. So these are large threats. Definitely something that kept me up at night was thinking about different injuries and potential threats that could happen there. To mitigate that, as much insurance as possible to cover that. Increase in operating cost was a threat. Gas prices going up, threat to operating cost. Shift in customer base, a large threat. So if the customer base itself is shifting away and they're moving into doing their own lawn care, as lawnmower prices began to come down and as more electric versions began to come online, and as the economy softened, more people are more likely to take care of their own lawn and landscaping. So it's definitely important to see where the customer base is shifting. So what emerges from a SWOT analysis? We've gone through the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats. Well, the idea is to have all of these laid out together so you can look at them and really think about them in depth over time to create a strategic plan for the future. So you can get started with this with a blank sheet of paper, a whiteboard if you want to have multiple people involved, or if you have employees, bringing together the employees so they can think about and talk about the different aspects that you may not be aware of. So when it's put all together, it forms a good amount of information for you to use to create the strategic plan. So the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. So looking back in time at the SWOT analysis for televel lawns, what could I tell about this and what transpired? So the strength was capacity to grow. and the opportunity was to purchase a competitor. So I had the capacity to grow because I had employees and the opportunity to purchase a competitor. So going into that route, the two balanced. Now, the weakness was lack of time dedicated to business because of full-time employment. So at the time, I maintained that full-time employment. If I really wanted to move into the business full-time, I would have had to cut that employment back down to part-time, or even to leave that employment altogether to make that jump over to the business. That would give full dedicated attention. So that would help with that weakness. The threat is a large amount of local area market competition, but this can also be an opportunity to purchase a competitor. So it's important to really think about each aspect of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, to put them down in a list as detailed as you can at that time, and then to really evaluate and look at them to see what kind of plan can emerge to transform your business into the future. So the SWOT analysis is something that should be conducted by anybody who wants to start a business or any stage in business. If you're not happy with sales in your business, a SWOT analysis should be conducted. If you're worried about something, a SWOT analysis should be conducted. If taxes change, if market forces change, if a global pandemic hits, you should be conducting a SWOT analysis to be looking for market opportunities, reducing the weaknesses and threats, and capitalizing on strengths. So a few things to remember. SWOT is a work in progress. It is continual work in progress. You should be updating these monthly. It doesn't have to be anything fancy or complicated, but it's really important to do the thinking to be able to position yourself to make the next change and move in your business. The factors are always changing. List in each category can be short or quite endless. So you could have 3 or 4, but the more you think about it, more are going to pop up, and these could end up to be 50 strengths. They could be 100 weaknesses. But it's really important to list those and to come up with the most important ones. The more strengths a company has, the greater its ability to continue to grow and add to its strengths, a snowball effect. This is how success becomes more successful, how you can take a business that's doing well and capitalize on it and expand on it into the future. So the more strengths, you can really capitalize on those and hit the market opportunities. If the business is functioning from a place of weakness, it's hard to capitalize on those strengths and opportunities. Regardless of a company's strengths, it is competent people who drive an organization to achieve competitive superiority. So you yourself as the business owner should always be working on better educating, better understanding, reading, watching YouTube, taking advantage of webinars like this, continually thinking about how you can become better, more of an expert in your field, and expand the business. Competitive disadvantages increase as the number of magnitude of weaknesses increase. So you become more and more competitively disadvantaged as your weaknesses grow. So if the weakness is having high liability for employee injuries, if somebody was to become injured, that's a competitive disadvantage because now you're down an employee and you're also financially dealing with that implication. Plus the stress of that event is limiting you to feel comfortable to expand the business. Now what? So once you have the full SWOT analysis in front of you, it's time to really think about and draw conclusions about your company. Consider changes. What things do you need to change to keep the company safe from the weaknesses and the threats, and expand upon the opportunities? Utilize the strengths. Strengths that you have, you should capitalize on, utilize them to their full potential. Just because you have that strength doesn't give it effect unless you're using it to its full potential. Improve upon weaknesses. Capitalize on opportunities and reduce the potential threats. So I thank everyone for joining me for this presentation. A live recorded version of this will become available for you to see, to look back at. I definitely want to reach out to everyone here that when you complete your SWOT analysis, email it to me. I would love to take a look about it. We can schedule a virtual Zoom or online Skype or phone meeting to talk about the SWOT analysis if you have any questions, as well as I can help you look at it to see what kind of opportunities are there. So if you put this together in the different lists, I would be very happy to help you look at it and strategically think, what are some of the things we could change and adapt going into the future? This has been a presentation by Brock Community Action and the Microbusiness Development Program. I'm Tyler Jokinen, Business Counselor for Brock Community Action. Please feel free to reach out and contact me with any future information, and look forward to our next webinar. Thank you.